Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Today I'm going to be talking about the trade war. I'm going to be starting with this article. Came out on Tuesday, 4th of May, and it says clearly US trade deficit hits record 74.4 billion in March. And as you know, there's a trade war going on between China and US, and I want to kind of talk a bit about that and whether the US is winning, whether China is winning, and what my thoughts are really. So I'm going to go to this article first of all, and this article kind of gives you a timeline of what's been happening with the trade war. And as you can see, it all started from May 26, 2016, when US President Trump at the time basically made a speech, and he said, "We can't continue to allow China to rape our country." Bloody hell, the use of rape, I mean, that's a bit extreme, isn't it? I'm not going to go through each timeline of what happened, but basically you can see he's basically put tariffs, kept putting tariffs over and over again on Chinese goods, 25% tariffs, 25%, 50% tariffs on, it's just tariffs after tariffs and after tariffs, and obviously the Chinese put tariffs back on American goods, but the tariffs weren't as big as what America has put on Chinese tariffs. So I'll explain why. So this diagram gives you an overall view of what's been exported between US and China over the years, and this was created in 2017, and at the time you can see the difference between the amount of imports and exports between China and America. So in 2017, China had spent 13 billion on aircrafts, 12 billion on soybeans, 7.89 billion on vehicles, 4.95 billion on electric products, and on the other side, US had been spending 43.67 billion on telephone cellular networks, 37.2 billion on laptops and other electronic equipment, 12.32 billion on toys and cheap goods. So have the trade deficits been reduced? Have the tariffs worked? Hell no, and I'll show you why. So this is a really good website which gives me a really good analysis month by month of imports and exports between US and China. And you can see the first 3 months of imports and exports, and this was last month. You can see 12 billion of exports. This is amount of goods that China is buying from the US, and imports are the amount of money that the US is buying from China. And there is still a huge imbalance there. And the total in 3 months is 34 billion that China is buying from the US, and 113 billion the US is buying from China. And it's a minus 78 billion trade imbalance. And if I go to 2020, you can see 124 billion China has been buying from US, and 435 billion America's been buying from China. And the trade imbalance is minus 310. And if I go to 2019, 106 billion in exports, 451 billion in imports, minus 345 billion trade deficit. And don't forget, 2019 and 2020 was the year of the coronavirus. So that figure has, it is quite down compared to the other years really. And 2018, this is when the trade war started, and this is the year when it was really, really high, huge trade deficit between the two countries. So 120 billion in exports versus 539 billion in imports. And at the time, 2018, there was 418 billion in trade deficit. And 2017, you can see China bought 129 billion goods from America, while America bought 505 billion from China. And 2017 was the year when China bought 13.1 billion worth of aircraft. They normally buy Boeing aircraft from America, but they've stopped buying Boeing aircraft now, mainly because a couple of Boeing aircraft had crashed, and so they have been grounded in China, and because of that, and because of the trade war, China has completely stopped buying Boeing aircraft. They've been buying Airbus. Basically, last few years they've been buying a huge amount of Airbus orders. So I don't think they're going to buy any more aircraft from America. So America can kind of kiss goodbye trillions worth of aircraft orders. Soybeans is the largest. Is one of the largest things that China buys from America, as you know. But you can see from stories like this, China has been, diversifying their soybeans. They're going to Argentina, they're buying it from Russia, and you can see Russian trade has doubled every year, and Putin has kind of promised Russia will supply China with all their soybean needs. So that figure of soybeans will start to go down year by year. So that will definitely go down. Vehicles were the next big thing that they've been buying from the US, and that will go down as well, because, as you know, China has built this amazing manufacturing of EV cars. There's a huge boom of EV cars that have been manufactured all around China, and they're going for EV cars now. So that buying vehicles from America will be a thing of the past. So you can already see the top three stuff that China's already diversifying. Things like oils, gold, stuff like that. They can diversify. They can get it from Iran and other places. But if I go to 2020, and you can see what China's been buying from America, and it's completely changed. So the number one thing is microprocessors, semiconductors, and that's gone up by 14.1% since last year, and that's going to keep going up. So that's reason why China is having their own manufacturing of semiconductors within China, because they can see they're spending a huge amount of money to the States, and which they need to kind of get rid of that, really, and then they need to try and do it themselves. So that's why there is a huge push for semiconductors in China. So far, things like that take time. It's not an easy thing to do, so that's going to take a bit of a while. Crude oil in 2020, that's gone down since last year, but crude oil is something that the Chinese need, really, and they have been diversifying in other countries. And now with the deal with Iran, that's going to go down considerably, because they're going to buy most of their oil from Iran and Saudi Arabia and other places, and Russia as well. So there'll be less of a need to buy oil from the States. Iron ore and other concentrates, and as you know, with the trade war between Australia as well, China stopping buying iron ores from Australia, so they're buying iron ores from other places. America is one of them, Brazil is another, and over the next few years that's going to go down, because China's diversifying their iron ore production. They're getting stuff from Algeria, Albania, Papua New Guinea, Africa, and a few other places as well. So they're diversifying their iron ore, and they're fast tracking their iron ore production in other countries. So that figure will start to go down. The cars, you can see already, is starting to go down compared to last year, minus 4.5%, and that's going to go down more and more as more EV cars come into market. Phone system devices, including smartphones, that's gone up, but that's going to go down considerably in the next few years, because Chinese smartphones are getting better and better, and there are huge new companies like Oppo, Xiaomi, even Huawei is still there. So that's they're going to go up, and things. Apple obviously is still there in China, so that's where this figure kind of comes from. Gases, petroleum gases, that's going to go down considerably over the next few years. There's a new pipeline coming from Russia. Another one is being built, and another one is being planned. And they've also found a huge gas field in Xinjiang. So China will be able to be self-sufficient in the next few years. So that's going to be going down. Soybeans, as I showed you before, they're going to be buying stuff from Russia, and also Argentina and a few other places. So Russia said they will kind of supply soybeans. They'll be able to match all the demand, and as you can see, it's doubling every year. So over the next 3-4 years, even 4-5 years, that Russia will be able to completely take over the market. Other things like copper ores, concentrates, computers, machinery. I mean, that's just basic stuff, really. I mean, that'll probably still stay there. But the most important thing is the top 5, top 6, top 7 stuff. China's already trying to diversify. So what's happening the other way around? So can America diversify their stuff from China? The problem is America buys a lot of cheap stuff, toys and electrical goods from China. They can't really diversify it, really. The reason is, a lot of these companies who have got really good relationships with Chinese suppliers, they've been buying over the years. They have to find new suppliers in other countries, and you'll find that their manufacturing is not as good, or the product itself is not good quality, and the prices are probably higher than China, and the supply chain is not there. One of the reasons China is the manufacturers of the world is, they got cheap goods, they're good quality, and the supply chain is there, and the delivery is there, and also the main thing is there's not much corruption going on. So if companies try to, if US companies try to diversify in other countries like Bangladesh or another third world country, for example, first of all, the supply chain is not there. The quality of goods might not be as good. The prices still might be higher than what you pay in China, because in China they make in bulk, so the prices are cheaper. But these smaller countries, they don't create as many in factories like China does, so the prices are pretty high. And the most important thing is corruption, because if you buy it from a place in Bangladesh, so you don't know whether you're going to get your product or not if you order it from Bangladesh, and plus you don't know if Bangladesh has got the supply chain, whether it's going to be delivered on time, whether it's going to have the same amount of quality checks. You just don't know, really. China has got all of that, and it's much safer to buy it from a country like China than from a third world country. I mean, you can still buy from a third world country, but it just takes time. It takes a lot of time. You got to set up all the factories, the workers. You got to go through a lot of hoops. Set up the supply chain. And you got to visit there. So there's a lot of work that needs to be done. But if it's already there in China, you get good quality products for a cheap price, then why go to another country? So that's a problem that America faces, because America buys so many cheap goods. There's no other country apart from India they can buy cheap goods for a fraction of the price. Plus, you get good quality as well. So that's a problem, really. So where are we right now? So has America won this trade war? Well, of course not. I mean, you can see the trade deficit is going higher and higher, and it's going to start to go higher because now COVID's over. You will see these figures start to shoot up over the next few months. There's a huge stimulus that's been given to the American people as well. So what a lot of them are doing with that money, they're buying cheap goods from China because of the stimulus. China is full steam ahead with their economy. All the factories are running full steam. And a lot of countries like the States, they can't buy stuff from Europe or India because, as you know, India's suffering huge COVID issues. Europe's having huge COVID issues because they haven't even vaccinated 10% of the population yet. So where does America buy their goods from? They have to buy it from India, from China. India's in lockdowns, so they have to buy it from China, and China is dependable during COVID time. That's what this has shown, that it's a dependable country. You can count on them to get your goods. It's not going to be in lockdown anytime soon. So America are starting to buy stuff from China again. By the way, guys, I'm not having a go at countries like Bangladesh. By the way, I'm just basically saying it's a third world country, and if America diversifies to another third world country, the risks are still there. And these risks were in place in China when back then when China was very poor and China was starting to become the factory of the world. There was a lot of fraud going on, there was a lot of corruption, a lot of people making money on the side. So China had gone through that, and they've past that now, and there's not much corruption that goes on in there now. But if you go to another third world countries, you've got to have to follow the same process again, and you've got to make sure there's no corruption, and make sure your goods you get what you paid for, and things like that. So you've got to go through all of that again if you go through another third world country. Bangladesh was just an example. I'm not having a go at Bangladesh, but it can be any third world country really. So has the trade war been good for America? Well, not really. If you look at this article, Trump put taxes on ventilators during the COVID fight, and what hospitals had to do, they usually buy these ventilators cheap from China. So what hospitals had to do? Well, they had to buy these ventilators with such a huge tariff. Most of them couldn't afford it, and a lot of people are asking America to kind of reduce these tariffs and stuff like that. So you can see not a lot of thought has actually gone into it, and these stuff like this could have helped America with the COVID fight, and a lot of thought hasn't gone into these tariffs. Trump has basically put tariff after tariff after tariff on anything he can find, and that was 3 years ago, and where we are today, things have not changed, and the data I've showed you has shown things have not changed, and these deficits are just going to get worse and worse. So what's America doing about it? I mean, they're just shooting themselves in the foot, really. There's a story about how a Chinese man is walking down an alleyway, and an American guy stops him, and the American guy pulls out a gun to the Chinese guy, and the American guy says, "All right, give me all your money, or I'm going to shoot myself in the foot." So this is exactly what's happening at the moment. America is just shooting themselves in the foot, and this trade war is not working. And what Biden should have done when he came into office, he should have just abolished this whole trade war thing and started from beginning. He should have just sat down and he should have said, look, Trump started this trade war. It's not working. It hasn't reduced the deficit. In fact, China is, while they did not want a trade war, China is looking back now and think, actually, this trade war is not too bad. Basically, it's helped us become more independent. We're diversifying all of our products. We're buying more stuff from other countries. And what China's done is China's been clever. They reduced the tariffs on other countries while increasing it on the US on the US side. So countries like from Europe and Africa and Middle East, they've been reducing their tariffs. That's so Chinese people buy more stuff from other countries and vice versa. And China's been diversifying their supply chain, doing more trade with their neighbors like Russia. There's a new RCEP, the ASEAN countries, and that's going to be happening soon. And as you can see, that's once that starts, there will be a huge amount of trade, free trade going on between all the ASEAN countries. between China, Indonesia, Malaysia, Singapore, Japan, Korea. Huge amount of trade that's going to be going on. China's not going to care about America. Trust me, this is going to be the biggest. This is where the trade hub is going to be in the world. And all of this trade stuff is just helping China, really. And look at their GDP in the last quarter. It's gone up by 18%. Is China's economy hurting? No. Has the trade war hurt China's economy? No. It's in fact made them stronger. And what China's 5-year dual circulation policy, and which they've started just after the trade war, is what they're doing is their economy is not just based on imports and exports. As you can see, what dual circulation is, for those people that don't know, dual circulation means that China intends to develop both its domestic and international economies effectively and bring a multiple win across its economic territories. A good understanding of dual circulation helps us with the understanding of development process of the Chinese economy of the future. So what this means is, what dual circulation is, not only will China be providing the world with their manufacturing and become the manufacturing hub of the world, which they already are, but they'll also be supplying their 1.4 billion people within China as well, and they'll be circulating within them as well. So you get a double-pronged GDP growth. So you supply to the world, plus you also supply your 1.4 billion people within your country as well. So that's why China is going to be shooting up in the next few years. Their GDP and the PPP is going to be shooting right up, and within 2028, China will be the biggest economy, overtaking America. So this is what China's doing, and it's all thanks to the trade war, really. If America did not start this trade war, China would still, take over the America's economy. It would have done eventually, but it would have been taken a much slower process. China would not be fast-tracking their self-reliance. They wouldn't be fast-tracking their semiconductor industry. They wouldn't be fast-tracking their dual circulation. They're fast-tracking everything, so they don't need to depend on the US anymore. And it's just pushing China more to be self-reliant, and they're really determined to be successful. And while 3 years ago a lot of Chinese were like, we don't want this trade war, now China don't even care. They're like, fuck the trade war, we just do, let America do what it wants, we'll just do what we want. And China is not even pushing to go to the American negotiating table to get rid of these trade sanctions. They don't even care anymore. For them, they're happy as they are, and they'll continue to innovate, they'll continue to grow, and they'll continue to fast track to be the biggest economy in the world. So what about America? What's happening with America? Well, they will continue to buy cheap goods from China or from another country. It doesn't really matter to them. The most important thing is that their trade deficit is going up and up, shooting up every single year. Their trade deficit with China is going up, their trade deficit with all their allies is going up. To create goods in America is still too expensive, so they have to buy cheap goods from other countries. And no other countries can compare to China in terms of manufacturing, in terms of quality, in terms of supply chains. So even if America go to another country to kind of diversify, it's still going to cost them more. And some of these companies find that it's probably worth paying a bit extra to Chinese companies, because you built up the relationship all these years, and the quality of product that you're going to get. So a lot of these American companies are just stuck it. They just suck it up, really, and they just continue to pay these tariffs to Chinese companies. And the Chinese are happy. They know that they're the best in manufacturing, and America will always come back to them. And that's what's happening. They tried to diversify the last couple of years, and now from the graph I've shown you that they're starting to buy Chinese goods again, and it's going back to how it was before the trade war started. So things are not looking good for America at the moment. China is, as you can see, it is diversifying. China doesn't care about this trade war. China only, used to buy 1/4 of the goods from America that America's buying from China. So China doesn't really care. So what's happening with America? I mean, there's a huge issue with inflation going on. I mean, there's talks of hyperinflation, which will happen in America because of the increased trade prices on the tariffs, increased prices of goods. And America been printing money over the past few years to deal with the COVID. I think they've printed 6 trillion over the past couple of years to help with the COVID crisis. A lot of people have been getting checks on the mail, and these people have been buying cheap goods from China using their stimulus checks. So America is not in a good place at the moment. So they are in a very, very dangerous path. They have been printing a lot of money, and America has to be very, very careful. I mean, if I was Biden, I would have just cancelled the trade war and just worked with China and worked on a solution, and a solution with peace. It would have helped both countries. It would have helped the world. Instead, what Biden's doing is carry on from Trump's trade policies, and it's just, and like I said with the story earlier, America's just shooting themselves in the foot. Anyway, guys, I'm going to end it here. Let me know what you guys think. Don't forget to like and share, and I appreciate any donations and any comments, and I'm trying to build up my subscribers to 1,000, so any help would be appreciated. So chat to you guys soon, and I'll see you in the next show.